In other news, got an exclusive for you about a prisoner that Sir Keir Starmer let out early. Also, I'll reveal the shocking amount of taxpayers' money that our cash-strapped civil service is blowing on DEI. And
means to be English. We stand up for what we believe in, even when it's not easy. And as we witness the rise of populism and prejudice around the world.
well, London Mayor Sadiq Khan appears to have legalised everything else, doesn't he? Is it time to legalise cannabis also?
Is a claim that was made in the early 1930s by realist jurists in Germany, most notably Carl Schmitt.
And Keir Starmer's top mate, the Attorney General, thinks that anyone, who wants to leave the CHR is a far-right fascist. All of that and much more. Good evening, everybody. Hello, hello, good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? How are you? Great to see you. So many people here. Fantastic. Well, we have got an amazing show lined up for you tonight. You're not going to want to miss what happened to me at that migrant camp earlier on, but I couldn't do it, of course, without my live audience. And my wonderful panel, we have got former Tory MP Miriam Cates. We have got everybody's favourite lefty. It's Matthew Torbin. Broadcasting royalty, Christo Fufas. And GBNews' senior political commentator, Nigel Nelson. Well, I cannot wait to get stuck into this show. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. OK, all right, well, I am ready and raring to go. This is going to be an absolutely box office show for you. So, I firmly believe that Britain is becoming a dumping ground for people who should just be deported. There was the case this week of a Pakistani drug dealer with 21 convictions. He's been allowed to stay in Britain because he has a son who he sees, you ready for this? Just twice a month, just sees him twice a month. And he needs to teach him about Islam. That's what the judge said. There's a case as well today of a Sudanese person with a receding hairline, full beard, really hairy forearms and legs. Apparently, he's actually a 16-year-old boy. That is according to an immigration tribunal. Now, camps full of migrants, either legal or illegal, are popping up in towns and cities right across the UK. And today, I went to visit one that's emerged in one of the most expensive, exclusive and famous streets in the country, Park Lane in London. Here's what happened. GBNews viewers and listeners have been getting in touch to tell us about migrant camps popping up in their town and cities. Well, today, I'm on Park Lane in London, one of the most expensive areas in the country. Have a look at some of these hotels here. Thousands of pounds a night it costs to stay in there. Properties here are in the tens of millions of pounds. A tourist area. So for many people, when they come to visit our great country and our great capital city, this is the first thing they see. Well, follow me in here now, because we have a large encampment of migrants. And I just want to know how they got to Britain, what their situation is. Let's see if we can try to communicate with them. Hello, sir. How are you? It's Patrick Christys for Patrick Christys Tonight. Can I ask you about where you've come from originally, please? Hello. Can I just ask you how you've ended up here? What's the situation? Hello. Can I just ask you where you're from originally, please?
Go this one. No coming here.
That's
What
okay.
I coming you here? Coming you here?
I just want to know about how you ended
cancel?
up...
You cancel?
I'm not from the council. It's public land,
Please,
though.
I go, no.
Okay.
No,
all
please.
right. Okay.
I go.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to... Okay. Hello. Hello, sir. How are you? It's Patrick Christys from Patrick Christys Tonight. Can I just ask you about what the situation is here? How long have you lived here for?
3 days.
Three days? How do you find it? We'll just ask you a couple of quick questions if that's possible. Now, where are you from?
Bulgaria.
Bulgaria. And how did you get to Britain?
No, man.
How did you come to Britain?
Go.
Hello.
Go.
Are you from Bulgaria
No, go,
as well?
go.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go.
It's okay.
Go.
Don't worry, it's okay. It's
No
okay.
photo, go.
Okay.
No
Okay,
photo
well-
here. Go another
Oh,
side.
okay,
Another
all right.
side, go.
Do you think this is the way to behave at all?
Go.
No.
Go.
Okay, all right.
Go.
What do you do? What do you do for work?
Go, cannot speak for you. Go.
Okay.
You mafia, you stealing. Go.
We're not the mafia, no. It's
Go,
just
you mafia,
GB
go.
News. Okay. All right. Let's just see what we can else see here because it's quite a significant setup. They've been here for quite a while. As you can see, there's tents and camps. Now, what's happened here is a little bit further down the road, there was a camp on a roundabout, and the council closed that off, and we think that a lot of them have come here. But the problem is it's been growing and growing and growing. Hello, chaps. How are you? It's Patrick Christys from GB News. Can I ask you where you've come from? You don't have to be on camera. Oh, people are throwing things at us now. Why are you so aggressive?
Go.
Do you understand that this is public land? I just want to know
No,
why
go
you
the other
guys are
thing.
living
You
here.
don't have money?
I don't have money.
No have money?
You want money?
No, you come here for I push for you. I'll give you.
No. This
Okay.
is public.
It's not going to happen.
Go.
Sorry. Slow down.
Look, I'm sorry. In Britain, we don't behave like this towards the press.
Go,
Okay.
Go, guys. Go, guys.
Okay. Let's see some of the other camps over there. Really. So, I do wonder what kind of job maybe that lady's planning on doing, and whether or not she's going to be able to contribute much to British society. Let's head on over here. Get much trouble from the council or from the Mayor of London? Do they ever try and move you on from here?
Yeah, they do. They already sent us to the court. I think they will come in tomorrow or next day.
So they come in, and what happens when they do that then?
What's that?
What happens? Do they come with the police? Do they try to move you on? What do they do?
But they're using the force, ain't it? They come and use the force. So you have to move.
And they try and take your tent, do they, and your possessions?
They take everything. They throw it out. That's what they do. They say this is a rule. This is a law. You cannot do nothing. But if you ask them to rehouse here, they say no.
Me, I'm begging every day. See?
Is this what you do? So in order to make a bit of money, you have to beg.
Sorry?
In order to make a bit of money, you have to beg.
Puxa manga tipo mangi mo, make lisoti.
You police?
I just want to know what's
No,
going
you
on.
police?
I'm not.
You
the police.
cancel?
No.
What they come in you the video?
Okay, so we have a free.
For me, no accept.
Well, I'll tell you why.
No,
Because
I'm
some
sorry,
people
please.
have given us
No,
reports that
please.
there's a bit of trouble here from
Man,
quite aggressive
For me, I
people
speak for
who
you.
are just
I no
squatting here.
accept. Not
And
the video.
I'm
yeah?
starting to wonder whether or not
What
maybe
they
they're
come in
telling
you
us the
video?
truth.
What they come in you the video? What they come in you the video?
Well, just because this is one of the most
For me,
expensive
no
cars.
accept. No accept.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I go.
You
Leave.
want me
Long.
to? Okay. It is quite interesting, really, I think, that you've got this here, and now these are popping up, not just in London, in other cities as well. We get told all of that. And I find it quite remarkable, really, that no council or the Mayor of London or anyone would want to shut these places down or move them along, really. But anyway, there we go. But of course, this is what happened when I went back to pre-record the introduction for the top of tonight's show. Hello. Who wants to leave the CHR is a far-right fascist. All of that and much more. Well, there we go. So, right.
Here you go. There we go. Let me just douse you down there. There we go. You're right.
All right, lovely stuff.
Just done that for you.
Okay,
There we go.
yeah, fine. I hope that was water. Right, now, I would like to say I do feel incredibly enriched. So there we are. But right, well, let's go to a question immediately. I think why not? We've got a wonderful live studio audience. We might as well use them straight away. Do you have a point on this issue of illegal or legal immigration? Go on.
Yes. Is this on?
Yeah.
Do you think that the government is unwilling to deal with the out-of-control levels of migration because we've made this country an untenable place to have a family and are therefore unable to grow our own population and therefore our own economy?
Well, it's a very good question. Thank you very much for asking it. Wow. It's already better than question time. Right, Miriam, I'm going to start with you because this is your wheelhouse. Firstly, comment on maybe anything that you've seen there about the illegal migrant camp and then that lady's question there as well, please.
I mean, it is absolutely shocking. And the fact that this is our capital city, one of the primary tourist destinations, one of the wealthiest cities in the world, it is just extraordinary lawlessness, isn't it? And I think even just 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, it would have been impossible to imagine that. So shocking scenes. And also some of those people that you spoke to were acting as if you'd invaded their homes when obviously this is public land. So, yeah, I mean, shocking. But there's a brilliant question. I mean, the biggest pull for mass migration over recent years has been low birth rates. I mean, a shocking stat. In 1985, there were 10 20-year-olds to every 6 60-year-olds. Now there are 5 20-year-olds to every 6 60-year-olds. So our working age population is depleting and depleting. That has been a pull for migration. However, the way that we've allowed migration to happen and the fact that the vast majority of immigrants are not actually coming to work is a political choice, 100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know we've got big problems, whether that's on legal migration, on stopping the boats and deporting people. And the problem's now become so big. 1 in 13 Londoners is not supposed to be here, according to a report last year. The question becomes, how on earth do we deal with it? Trump's got his own plan, but what are we going to do?
Well, with that, we'll just say that the overwhelming majority of people there were from either Romania or Bulgaria, and I asked them, so I know that. Why can't we just send people back there?
Well, firstly, I have to admire that lady's versatility with her scarf.
Yes.
I mean, I've never seen a scarf used in so many different ways. It was round to red, round again, amazing. And secondly, she could be a bouncer. You asked the question that she could do here in the UK. Well, it's clearly Big Marcus's job, I think, is now in jeopardy. I think that's a brilliant question that you've asked, because it's become self-fulfilling, hasn't it? That because of the number of people that have come here and the infrastructure that doesn't service those people, i.e., not enough housing, not enough of any of the resources that are required for the number of people that have come here because of immigration policy. We need then more people to come here because people who live here already can't afford then to have children of their own. And it's only going to get worse unless we stop it. And you're right, that has been a political choice, unfortunately, by the government that you were a part of and by Labour.
And it was supposed to be fixed by Brexit. It wasn't fixed by Brexit.
There is also a desire as well to see our GDP increase every year. So everyone on paper could say, well, look, our economy is doing so brilliantly well, but actually when it came to GDP per capita and people's living standards, it wasn't doing well.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I don't know whether we can deport people. I would say we probably can't do that.
We can't deport people.
Well, I don't know how legally we would be able to do that.
You can deport people without British citizenship, but it's just very difficult.
On holidays to Romania. I mean, you know.
But aren't Romanian?
War in Romania.
But aren't Romania? It depends when they came. But if they came under freedom of movement, could they then be deported? I don't know.
Not if they filled in the paperwork at the time of Brexit, but I very much doubt that is the case. So they are probably here illegally.
But also, I'd quite like to live on Park Lane.
Yeah, I mean,
from that perspective, it's lovely.
Down to Decathlon.
For me, one of the big things there is that, OK, so that Park Lane is, I mean, it's famous, you know, on the Monopoly board, isn't it? I mean, there are properties there that are worth tens of millions of pounds, you know, even just a night in some of those hotels like the Dorchester is probably a few grand at least. And you have got people walking up and down that road because it's a famous road. That's their impression when they come to Britain. And that camp is right there, smack bang in the middle of it. It's only going to get bigger. I don't think it gives the best impression of Britain, but it's not just Park Lane in London. Most of our viewers and listeners are from outside of London. And there are these camps popping up everywhere. I mean, Matthew, do you think it's a bit of a disgrace when we see things like that?
I think that was quite hard to watch, actually, because regardless of whether these people are here legally or not, whether they're foreign or not, they're homeless. And therefore, having been homeless, I totally appreciate someone's fear and concern when somebody dressed in a shirt, potentially in authorities, coming and approaching where you do live. You maybe shouldn't be living there, but you have nowhere else to live. Successive governments have caused issues like this because of errors in the Home Office. The Eye did a report last month, and a Home Office insider had said that asylum seekers or potential asylum seekers had become homeless asylum seekers had quadrupled from 4,500 to 16,500 over the last 12 months because people were being sent eviction notices from the hotels they were staying in before they had the results of whether they were legally allowed to be here or not. So if you're evicting somebody who then doesn't know if they're legally allowed to work, doesn't know if they're legally allowed to stay, recourse to public funds and whatever else, then we're causing this problem ourselves furthermore. I think with regards to the lady's question, it's a totally pertinent one. If you go back to the 80s, I think we were having 2 or 3 working-age people per pensioner. We're now close to that slipping under 1. So if we don't have people coming currently, this is the sort of short-term fix, then I'm not going to be able to have people looking after me when I'm old and grey. I might not get a pension. It's going to affect every single one of us because we're totally reliant on foreign labour.
Well, why can't you be maybe more reliant, as they are in indeed certain other cultures, of your own children looking after you as you get older?
It is. It's a cultural thing. No, totally. I think that's something. It's not small C conservative, isn't it? Margaret Thatcher would speak about the family, but obviously, if you can't afford to not work, how do you therefore care for elderly relatives?
The reason more than one person in each household needs to work is because mainly, I think, the cost of housing, and the cost of housing has happened because of the number of people here. So it's
no. I mean, the cost of housing. All Western countries have seen housing price bubble from the 70s onwards because of central bank economic policy, which is that's the principal cause of housing
inflation.
Also a lack of
house building.
Well, that is true. But even in countries with far more housing than us and far less immigration, have experienced the property boom because it's just loads and loads of cheap money.
Right. I want to just bring Nigel Nelson in now. Nigel, there's obviously what went on at the migrant camp there, but there were two other big immigration stories that came out for me today. So there's the case of the Pakistani chap who has committed 21 offences, the majority of them for drug dealing, Class A drug dealing, since overstaying a visa when he came here in 1998. We can't deport him, according to a judge, because the son that he sees twice a month needs to be taught about both Islam and Pakistani culture. Surely that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It is if that's what happened at the immigration tribunal. The trouble with a lot of these cases is that there's a bit of disingenuousness about the reporting. So yes, that probably was part of the evidence. But we've had several cases. There was the guy who we couldn't get rid of because his child didn't like chicken nuggets. Yeah, that wasn't the reason.
It doesn't really matter that we shouldn't have been here in the first place. Should he's an Albanian drug lord?
Well, hang on, but it wasn't the reason that he was allowed to stay. There were different reasons for that. It was Theresa May got in a lot of trouble at a Tory conference when she suggested that somebody was allowed to stay because they had a pet cat. That wasn't the reason. These are things given in evidence, but they're not the total reason. So without seeing the details there, I'm not so sure. The answer to your question, though, the answer is yes. And we brought people in, unlike what Miriam says, that the majority are working if they've come here legally.
Nigel, that's not true. The majority of visas given out in the last 2 or 3 years are not work visas. The majority are student and dependents.
Just coming to that.
It's under a third are work visas.
They're either working or they're studying. So the reason for the student visas was to keep our universities going because they pay fees of up to £30,000 to study at a British university.
And then get a visa for 2 years after it and then never leave.
And now we're closing off that route. How will we keep the universities going?
If it's all right, can I come back to you? Because obviously we've had a bit of a discussion off the back of what you said there. Can I ask how you feel about it? So how do you feel about... I mean, you don't have to answer, it's up to you, but how do you feel about the current levels of immigration, both legal and illegal? How does that make you feel as a person?
I feel like I'm quite fortunate that I don't think that an immigrant is coming here specifically looking to do my job, because my job is quite strange and I don't think they've imagined it. But on the other hand...
I'm intrigued, yeah. I don't know.
I run the research programme for an asset management firm, so it's actually really boring, lots of spreadsheets. I mean, I love it, but it's not fun. No, but what I do see is this self-fulfilling prophecy where we allow people in to plug the gap with the fact that we've completely abandoned families in this country. What happened over the last, I would say, 20 years, so I'm not going to fully blame the Conservatives, we stopped looking at people as a family unit and we started looking at people as individual economic units. So therefore, we didn't care anymore about whether we could come together and how we were supporting each other. You brought up something very interesting as a group. I mean, actually, you brought up everything that I was thinking, so it was really wonderful.
Oh, good. We'd like to hear that. That's good.
But it was just natural to see. It was lovely to see that the real issues do come to the fore when this question is asked, because I don't think enough people are asking it.
Okay.
Because if we had more people who didn't need to work and could take care of their children and their parents, the need for care workers would diminish massively.
Do you think
and
the whole
I think our mental health crisis would also diminish massively. The pressure on the NHS would diminish massively. There's a lot of things that could be helped and assisted.
And do you think that it would all go to pot if we reduce the number of immigration, if we reduce the amount of immigration, or do you think we'd be all right?
I don't think we'd be all right, but we're also currently not all right.
Yeah.
So it would just be a different kind of not all
All
right.
right. I think it would take... It's taken 30 years to get to this point. It would take 30 years and someone with balls of steel to get us out of this and do it slowly, but we can do it.
I also just think it's quite, personally speaking, I think it's quite a poor excuse for fundamentally changing the complete culture and way of life of a country in order to try to plug different service gaps. There must be a better way of doing that. The other question, I suppose, is at what time can you do a show every night? Lovely start. Thank you very, very much, everybody. I'm looking forward to hearing much more from a variety of different people in this wonderful audience that we've got here. But, hey, look, I know the real reason you all turned up tonight. It's the final week to see how you could win our biggest giveaway today. It's a brand new motorhome worth £67,000. And how much? Yes, £5 grand in tax-free cash. You've got to be in it to win it. Here's how.
It's the final week to see how you could be our biggest winner yet.
Driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of 4. Comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This motorhome and £5,000 in cash really could be yours. Good luck.
OK, so Sir Keir Starmer name-dropped Nigel Farage 16 times yesterday. Is he feeling the heat? But, of course, today Nigel Farage says that Reform will be Europe's first party to take crypto donations. Well, what I want to know is the Prime Minister running scared? And are you backing Farage? Stay tuned.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're
the failure is...
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns this Tuesday from 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Studio audience, we've got people from Portsmouth, from Plymouth, who else? Manchester as well, lovely stuff, so thank you very much. Yes, there we go. Right, now, during his speech in St Helens yesterday, Sir Keir Starmer mentioned Nigel Farage 16 times, but made no mention at all of the actual leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch.
Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage.
Our socialist Prime Minister is terrified.
And that's the question you have to ask about Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage stands for none of this.
I'm living rent-free inside his head.
I don't need lectures from Nigel Farage.
Oh, gosh. Does anyone think Keir Starmer's rattled? Yes, OK. Now, sir, thank you very much for... We couldn't get the mic off him, this guy. So do you think Keir Starmer's afraid of Nigel Farage? Get it right close to your mouth. Go on.
Yeah, definitely he's afraid of him. He just needs to be concentrating on his job, really, which he's trying to run the country. But he's just worried about opposition all the time. And, you know, for the fact that he's mentioned him 16 times... and he's not once mentioned anything about how he's going to change things in the country. I think it's just a bit awful, really, to be fair.
Well done, sir. Thank you very much. Fantastic point. Chris, do you think Keir Starmer's scared of Farage?
I mean, what was brilliant about Starmer's speech was that he went on about sort of, do you trust Nigel Farage when it comes to your pensions? Do you trust, you know, whether you're going to be told the truth? I mean, being given lessons on trust by Keir Starmer. I mean, what next? Like lessons on childcare from Myra Hindley. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Sorry, Patrick, are you OK? You seem to have had a
I'm all right.
episode.
I'm not sure whether you are. Go on.
No, I'm sorry, I will not be lectured. I don't think anyone should be lectured at the moment, especially when it comes to pensions, with what he's done to pensioners. Now, what our Prime Minister doesn't seem to realise is that every single time, and I don't know who's advising him, but every single time he keeps talking about Nigel Farage and this terrible thing that might happen if Nigel Farage gets closer to Downing Street, all he's doing is playing into the narrative that the establishment don't like reform and making people look at what Nigel Farage is saying. You, sir, were absolutely correct when you said that he should be being advised to just get his head down, get on with the job, be Prime Minister and worry about Nigel Farage another time.
Go on then, Nigel.
Yeah, look, Christo, that's the point. The kind of idea we've had about reform up until now is that it's a protest vote, that people are voting for reform because of despair with the Tories and disappointment with Labour. As the polls have increased, I mean, today's poll shows that if there was an election tomorrow, it's the Techni poll, Nigel Farage would have an overall majority of 102. So, and the Tories would be left with 11 MPs. That's the kind of situation you'd end up with. However, the important thing from Keir Starmer's point of view is to get the public to take Nigel Farage and reform seriously. And by taking them seriously, it means you start looking in more detail at the policies they're coming up with. Once you delve into those, you can start asking yourself, do you want him as Prime Minister?
But Keir Starmer outlined a load of policies that he's then not done, or has done a load of things that he said he wouldn't do. So, I mean, what's the point?
How can he lecture on trust? How can he lecture about not trusting Nigel Farage when his track record so far in under a year has been to either U-turn or bring in stuff that wasn't in his manifesto?
What you need people to do is to look at the policies. They're all on the website. website, and you can see the policies and then decide, do you think those things are realistic?
Miriam?
What, like a no tax up to £20,000 sounds pretty good to a lot of people, I would say.
Totally unrealistic. But I think Nigel, you're absolutely right. That is what Keir Starmer is trying to do. The danger is that people look at reform and their policies and what they're saying now, actually, which is far more interesting in the last few weeks than what they've been saying since the election, and think, actually, do you know what? Let's give them a go. That's the danger that Keir Starmer is going to face, and that actually lots of disaffected Labour voters as well as Conservative voters are going to come over to Farage. I mean, I've been really interested in what they're talking about this week, the family tax, you know, child benefit, things that aren't actually popular in the polls, but clearly show the direction that reform is heading. And the stuff on cryptocurrency, fascinating, really interesting, looking ahead to how we keep our money safe. None of the other parties' leaders are talking about that.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is that they've got which other people don't? And I don't say this as a particular fan of reform, but they've got an ideology. I don't remember the last time we had a direction of travel.
Ideas.
No, I think it's an ideology.
Let me get a feel for the room. We go to Matthew after that. Right, so are people here just a bit fed up with, like, Labour and the Tories? Yeah. Right. Do you feel like it's kind of gone on a bit? You've had a good look at both of them. You don't think the country's got any better. And right, OK. If anyone, by the way, is desperate to make a point here, stick your hand up. We'll get the microphone to you. But Matthew, who on earth was advising Keir Starmer to go to the Red Wall? Not, as far as I could tell, meet anyone from the Red Wall. Just stand in a pretty sterile environment there, surrounded by security, and take an absolute pounding from the press and name check Nigel Farage 16 times. So what advice is he getting?
Well, less said about that, the better. I've obviously been quite vocal about Keir and how the party have conducted themselves over the last 10 months. I did watch the speech. I thought it was, for Keir, OK. He's never going to be a good orator. He was very nasally. I thought, there's no oomph, there's no, you know, but he's never going to be any good at that. I thought it was interesting. He mentioned the 3 trade deals to the workers that were there, and obviously that can feel a million miles away to lots of people. And you go, well, who cares about a trade deal with India? And his point was, he outlined how it explained exactly how it would help those people. These were glass makers. India import lots of whiskey, therefore your jobs are safe, blah, blah, blah. And he did sort of give a feel of what they're trying to do. I think the problem for Labour is there's no answer. There's an air of inevitability about what's coming. The private polling number 10 have done tells them there's a very big stop reform vote, which I'm worried they're going to pin their hopes on, because stop Boris didn't work, stop Brexit didn't work, so I don't know why stop reform would. I think the best bet for Labour at the moment would be to hope that the policies they put forward bear fruit economically.
Or get rid of Keir Starmer.
Yeah, no, I think that's some. Listen, I'd favour that next year if we lose Wales and Scotland. I think there's somebody that would be.
Do people in this room think it's just already finished for Keir Starmer? Yeah. It's already out. Oh well, right, hang on, microphone time, everyone. Right, here we go. Let's move it to the front. But because this was one of the things that stood out to me whilst we wait for that microphone to be passed to Sarah on the front row there. Well, one of the things that stood out for me was I thought it's 10 months in, massive stonky majority, but actually, good grief, is it already terminal for Sir Keir?
I think it's Labour in general. You know, Conservative didn't help one bit. Reform are our only hope in getting this country back into a better place.
OK. Nigel, would you agree? I mean, there's a huge amount of people out there who think that reform are now the country's only hope.
Yeah, OK, I understand that, largely because they haven't had a chance to mess anything up. So what we've had the Tories, who had 14 years of making a hash of it. Labour have come across as not what they appeared to have promised. So I can understand...
Well, what they've done, they've just taken from the elderly, the pensioners, farmers, the fishermen.
Yeah, I do take the point that those things weren't in the manifesto. No. They haven't actually broken any manifesto commitments yet, but those weren't there.
The tax on working people.
So I actually take your point. What we'll see from reform, though, is they are about to run something. They've got 10 councils, 2 mayoralties, and let's see how they do that.
Well, and one of the things that they want to do, is they've said, is scrap DEI, the diversity, equity and inclusion, which moves us almost like we've planned it, which, of course, we haven't, straight on to our next story, which is, it's been revealed that the civil service spent 27 million quid on diversity in a single year, while GB News exclusively revealed that police forces have spent £10 million on various different diversity roles as well. What do people think about that? We'll find out next.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Blistering heat in parts of Spain. Temperatures could top out over the next few days in southern Spain over 40 Celsius. That heat building and providing some thundery showers in Iberia and southern France into the weekend. A few showers also likely over the Greek islands and Turkey on Saturday. Plenty of warm, sunny weather for Italy and Croatia. Sunny skies too for Spain and Portugal as the heat builds here. And lots of fine weather across the Canaries, where temperatures will continue to rise into next week. And we could get close to 30 degrees in Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture. Plenty of showers across northern and western parts and some gusty winds, but fine weather for much of East Anglia and southeast England. Will be turning fresher for all of us behind this cold front, but it's still way out in the Atlantic at this stage. Ahead of it today, we've seen one or two heavy showers, particularly over northeast Scotland, but they're now fading away. And for many, it's a fine evening out there, staying dry for many overnight, turning quite misty and murky around the coasts of South Wales and southwest England, with a few showers creeping into West Wales and western Scotland later on. Pretty mild, it's pretty humid, temperatures holding up in the teens for many in towns and cities. On to Saturday, and as I said, a mixed picture. Much of eastern England starting fine and dry, but we will see some showers coming into Scotland. Generally here a dry start to the day, and it will be quite a mild start as well. But the rain is gathering, and that will be pushing its way into the west of Northern Ireland fairly smartly through the morning. We'll see some showery rain also arriving in West Wales, and as I said, quite murky around the coasts of Wales and southwest England. But warm and humid across these eastern parts of England. Hazy sunshine here lasting for most of the day. A few showers moving north across maybe the Lake District into southern Scotland, and then this band of wet weather will move across Northern Ireland around the middle part of the day and turn things quite wet and quite windy in western Scotland. Some heavy downpours, even the odd rumble of thunder, and some showers ahead of it too across parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. A warm, humid feel for many. We could get temperatures into the mid-20s across the eastern areas, but Sunday's much fresher. Cooler, less humid air moving in. Again, much of the south and east dry and bright with sunny spells. Showers further north and west with lots of showers coming into western Scotland. And look at those temperatures. We could get to 26, 27 tomorrow by Sunday, highs in the low 20s and for many, mid to high teens.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Headliners on GB News, 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point.
He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
What is the state of our economy? What is the state of our National Health Service? What is the state of our schools?
What on earth is going on?
Understanding Britain means understanding the state we are in. This is State of the Nation with me, Matt Goodwin, Wednesdays, Thursdays and Fridays from 8 p.m. on GB News.
Welcome back, everybody, to a live studio audience. Patrick, Christys tonight. Absolutely tremendous to have you all here. Thank you very much. So, well, woke waste, isn't it, really, I suppose? The first audit of wokery in our civil service has found that it spent £27 million on diversity in just 1 year, including 20 million quid for 380 diversity staff on an average salary of £53,000. Of course, they also presumably all get expenses as well if they're in the civil service, which won't be included in this. So, you know, why not double it? Anyway, this comes as earlier this week, GB News exclusively revealed that police forces are now spending more than 10 million quid on diversity roles, which will be enough to hire 350 new police. So, is this the kind of spending that we want, or do we maybe want to scrap DEI? Before I go to my panel on this, how do people feel generally in the room? Would people... Does anyone here think DEI in some form is important? Feel free to... You know what? Yeah, someone does. Fair enough. Good. Well, does everyone else would you just scrap it? OK. All right, well, we'll have a debate about this. I think there is a chap who would like to make a point on this first. Hello, sir. What would you like to say?
Good evening. Indeed, my question is about this DEI spending on public services. You've given the figure for the civil service and the police, and goodness knows what the health service spends and what education spends. And it's interesting that Trump, one of the first things he did, rightly or wrongly, was to scrap a lot of the spending. So really my question is twofold. Are we getting value for money for this spending? Do we know if it's evaluated at all? And should we in fact keep it or scrap it altogether?
I suppose to make that succinct, it's what's the point, isn't it? You know, what are we getting for it? All right, well done. So thank you very much. Miriam, I'll start with you. You know, you look at the sheer level of DEI spending there. I mean, should we get our money back for this, do you think, as taxpayers?
Well, I think it's a stupid use of taxpayer money. I think the cultural impact is even worse than the economic one. I mean, DEI is a way of driving social change, which is not what our institutions should be about. And I really object to travelling on trains that are emblazoned with the Pride Progress flag. I mean, it's
Why?
Because the Pride Progress flag includes the trans flag, which says that men can be women, something I fundamentally disagree with and is a complete affront to women's rights and safety. Why should I have to get on that train that's been bought at the taxpayer's expense? So it's political and it's divisive. So I think the cultural impact is actually worse than the financial impact. That is a waste of money, but you know, these are tiny amounts of money. We should cut it, of course we should, but £20 million, I mean, you know, the pensions bill is going up tens of millions of pounds, just tens of billions of pounds just in the next 3 or 4 years. So, great, yeah, let's cut it. It's a good thing, but it's not going to make any difference to the economic position of this country.
Matthew, do you think it's a bad thing that in our civil service we've obviously got a rampant culture of DEI initiatives?
So I think DEI is a theory I'm all right with. I'll get that out of the way, my lefty liberal credentials.
It's Marxist,
now
Matthew.
for the... I've been called many things in my time. I've never been called
calling you a Marxist.
I think the problem with these schemes is they are de facto racist, and the people that design them see them through a particular lens.
Yeah.
So they're used as tick box services because these people, normally white and middle class, think that all black and brown people basically are the same. And they're not a monolith, the same as no other group is. The one thing we do not speak about when it comes to diversity, and I will continue to bang this drum even if people are bored of it, is class. You can have as many people from as many different races, as many different religions, whatever. If they're all from the same institutions, the same class, all you're getting is groups.
It's a great point.
And the problem is we do have these types of people in our institutions because politics, media, the arts, you've normally got to come to London. And unlike me many years ago, unless you've got the bank of mum or dad, or you can afford to do an unpaid internship and not be paid, this is why we get a particular type of politician, media, person in the arts. So because of that, we need to talk about social class more when it comes to, regardless of colour or anything else, class is the big stickler for me.
I agree. Some of these jobs that essentially white people can't apply for, it's a bit stupid, really, because you could be someone who happens to be black or Asian or whatever who's been to Harrow and then Oxbridge and then still get the job. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, how's that benefited society, I suppose, in a way? But, Christo, your views on this, I mean, does this point to, you know, a rampant left-wing bias in the civil service, this amount, 27 million quid, you know, bills are going up, do people need to be, you know, thinking, well, the civil service can cut its cloth here?
I think the devil is in the detail with DEI, and I think that you're absolutely right in as much as that class is not considered. I think also the immediate bias towards, I think, white, straight men probably as well is one of the reasons people object to it so much. What frustrates me, and let's not forget as well that there are many people that have benefited from sane DEI, i.e. Women being benefited in the workplace, disabled people who just need the kind of access that perhaps they wouldn't have had without DEI. It's when DEI goes balmy, people don't like it. When DEI becomes uses racism against white people in order to try and solve racism. That's when it goes balmy. My fear is that because of the balminess of it, we're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and say, well, actually, we don't want any of it and not keep the sane parts of it.
When we look at crime rates in Britain at the moment, and we see that essentially now a machete can be treated as a fashion accessory in parts of certain cities, we've got drug use. We're going to talk about the cannabis potential decriminalisation later on. But you look at that and you see police forces, Nigel, spending about 10 million quid on DEI roles when you could have more police officers. I would have thought that more people would want more police officers than someone whose job it is to talk about unconscious bias at Thames Valley Police.
Well, I mean, taking Miriam's point, Miriam was absolutely right. 27 million is nothing in terms of government spending.
It's a lot to me. It sounds like a lot to most people.
And a far cry from the 7 billion that Nigel Farage says it can be cut from it by getting rid of DEI. The whole point of it is to get people through the door and see how they can actually they can perform. And you mentioned unconscious bias. People tend to recruit people like them. And what you have with diversity officers is to make sure that doesn't happen. That way, more people, whether it's down to class, race, whatever it might be, disability, more people get a chance.
But, Nigel, it's been proven that those unconscious bias trainees, absolute rubbish. There's no evidence. In fact, there's some evidence that it makes people more prejudiced because it gives them new ideas of differentiation between people. Okay. But the root of DEI is very unhealthy. It basically says that all natural differences between people are down to structural oppression. Okay. So the reason that there are more female primary school teachers must be sexist. Of course it's not. More women choose to work with children. That's just natural. It's a natural difference. That's the problem with DEI. I can see people are itching to get involved in this, which means that during the break we're going to continue this conversation, probably with yourself there on the front row making some serious points, but we're going to have to rattle on now because is it time to legalise cannabis? Do anyone think we should legalise weed? No, OK. Oh, well, OK. Anyway, next question. On that note, there you go. I'll send it back then. I'll see you in a sec.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
headliners on GB News 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. I mean, maybe he's not lying.
That's headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Christys tonight. Now, here's been one of the very big stories of the week. Can you guess what it is from this video? Yes, London Mayor Sadiq Khan has voiced support for decriminalising small amounts of natural cannabis, arguing that current laws are no longer justifiable. He believes that the move could help rebuild trust between police and ethnic minorities, but many argue, of course, that this is a catastrophically awful idea. Who here smokes weed? No one, right, OK. Who here has smoked weed? OK, a few people, right, a few people, yeah, fair
More
enough.
on the panel than in the audience.
Nigel, do you think... oh, actually, have we got a question on this? Yes, we do. Right, sorry. Gary, I noticed your hand did not go up when we asked about the weekly, but what's your views on decriminalising cannabis?
It did go up, not trying it, though.
Oh, fair enough. Well, but I didn't inhale. Who said that? Right, go on, put the mic next to your mouth and have at it.
I think what we can see here, there's 2 sides for cannabis. You've got the medical side, and you've also have the criminality side of it. With what Sadiq Khan is trying to do, I believe he's trying to line the pockets of companies that would legalise it, and also would it lead to a form of sort of like stealth tax for the government along the way as well?
Yeah, it's an interesting point, actually, because Sadiq Khan has been to America to have a look at some of the cannabis farms that are over there as well. I just wonder whether or not there's something in that. But anyway, right, legalise weed or decriminalise it, Miriam?
Terrible, terrible idea.
Right.
I mean, the law is a teacher. The law that we have tells people what the acceptable boundaries are in our country. Now, of course, people break the law. They always have, they always will. But the law has to teach people what is acceptable, what is right and what is wrong. And the problem with this kind of liberal idea that if you don't prosecute people, they will somehow magically reform their ways and become good law-abiding people is utter rubbish. And many of the problems we've got at the moment in society is the fact that we don't prosecute people the instant they're caught having a minor offence.
OK, Matthew, your views on whether or not you think this is a good idea?
I think it doesn't matter, because it's essentially decriminalised anyway in many areas. So it's, you know...
Smells like it.
Durham Police were very famous in 2019. They operate basically a de facto decriminalisation scheme. If you're caught with just about enough for possession, not for supply, they'll give you a caution, a warning, or they will put you on some sort of training scheme to see if you've got any issues with it.
Well, I suppose one of the key points that Sadiq Khan was making was that at the moment he feels as though some stop and search laws when it comes to drugs are basically racist. I mean, would you say that?
The principle of someone being caught with a little bit of cannabis, I actually agree that that is not the worst thing in the world, and the number of police resources that are taken on that is ridiculous, and it's not working. I am loath, though, to agree with Sadiq Khan, the repellent little runt, on that, because this is absolutely about him being completely performative and trying to say, which he always does as well, you saw the Black Lives Matter fireworks, all he cares about is virtue signalling towards the ethnic minorities that are more likely in London to want to vote for him, rather than come up with good policy. I mean, that is what he does. That is his MO, that is what he is brilliant at. However, if there is going to be a wider debate about whether a little bit of weed, because they tried it in Brixton, they've tried it in places, and actually it frees up police resourses for people who are actually dealers.
I must say, one of my first reactions when Sadiq Khan said it was I actually thought what he said was a bit racist, because I thought, you know, I'd love to see the stats on this, but I think just as many white people smoke weed as ethnic minorities, personally.
Yes, you're right.
So I was like, why are you saying that it would target? I found that a bit odd.
I'll tell you why. because black people are statistically a lot more likely to be stopped and searched.
Yeah.
If you go through Soho, Canary Wharf, Liverpool Street, where you'll have white guys doing coke, they don't get stopped and searched.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
And that's all he cares about. That's all Sadiq Khan cares about. He's trying to reduce
you're
stop and
actually
search.
high now, aren't you? Not really. He's not really.
It's been 40 years ago, so it would have lasted a long time. The point really is that it seems strange in a country that promotes alcohol the way we do. And alcohol kills 10,000 people. There are 600,000 addicts. Drugs, all drugs, kill about 3,500 people and 130,000 addicts. And yet alcohol is perfectly OK. Small amounts of cannabis, for some reason, aren't. So, yes, decriminalising is right. We also ought to look at this more in the round. In Portugal, all drugs have been decriminalised. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing is still a moot point, but it has, for instance, reduced the number of heroin addicts by half.
All right. OK, fair enough. Sorry, Baz, we're at the end of the hour, but we get your point. Because coming up, Lord Hermer basically thinks, the Attorney-General, that if you want to leave the ECHR or control your borders, that you might, in some way, be a Nazi. Well, there's probably quite a lot of Nazis here. Stay tuned.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture. Plenty of showers across northern and western parts and some gusty winds, but fine weather for much of East Anglia and southeast England. Will be turning fresher for all of us behind this cold front, but it's still way out in the Atlantic at this stage. Ahead of it today, we've seen 1 or 2 heavy showers, particularly over northeast Scotland, but they're now fading away. And for many, it's a fine evening out there, staying dry for many overnight, turning quite misty and murky around the coast of South Wales and southwest England, with a few showers creeping into West Wales and western Scotland later on. Pretty mild, it's pretty humid, temperatures holding up in the teens for many in towns and cities. On to Saturday, and as I said, a mixed picture. Much of eastern England starting fine and dry, but we will see some showers coming into Scotland. Generally here a dry start to the day, and it will be quite a mild start as well. But the rain is gathering, and that will be pushing its way into the west of Northern Ireland fairly smartly through the morning. We'll see some showery rain also arriving in West Wales, and as I said, quite murky around the coasts of Wales and southwest England. But warm and humid across these eastern parts of England. Hazy sunshine here lasting for most of the day. A few showers moving north across maybe the Lake District into southern Scotland. And then this band of wet weather will move across Northern Ireland around the middle part of the day and turn things quite wet and quite windy in western Scotland. Some heavy downpours, even the odd rumble of thunder. And some showers ahead of it too across parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. A warm, humid feel for many. We could get temperatures into the mid-20s across eastern areas, but Sunday's much fresher. Cooler, less humid air moving in. Again, much of the south and east dry and bright with sunny spells. Showers further north and west with lots of showers coming into western Scotland. And look at those temperatures. We could get to 26, 27 tomorrow by Sunday, highs in the low 20s and for many, mid to high teens.
A positive outlook through the night will power through to a bright day ahead. Boxed home battery storage, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could be our biggest winner yet. Touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of 4. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. That's State of the Nation every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Good to see you. Thank you very much, everybody. Hello at the back. All right, mate. How are you? Good. Yes. There we are. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you very, very much. It is, of course, 10 p.m. I'm Patrick Christys. Tonight... You want money?
No, you can't make for it. I push for it. I give it.
Well, I was speaking at a migrant camp on one of Britain's most expensive roads, Park Lane. Also... Yeah, big up Keir Starmer. I've got a big exclusive for you about a prisoner that Sir Keir Starmer let out early. Can we guess what it is? Plus...
is a claim that was made in the early 1930s by realist jurists in Germany, most notably Carl Schmitt.
Yes, so apparently you are a Nazi if you want to leave the ECHR. That is according to the Prime Minister's great mate, Lord Hermer. I can't wait to talk about that. I, of course, have my absolutely wonderful panel with me this evening. We have got former Tory MP Miriam Cates. Everybody's favourite lefty Matthew Torbett. Broadcasting royalty Christo Fufas. Yes. And GB News' chief political commentator, it is the one and only Nigel Nelson. All right. Well, heck of a lot to get stuck into. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. If you want to leave the ECHR to control immigration, apparently you're a Nazi. Yes, OK, that is according to Lord Hermer. This man, all right, this guy. So he is our Attorney General, and he's a great friend of our Prime Minister. In fact, they're such good friends, not a lot of people know this, Lord Hermer gave the toast at Sir Keir Starmer's celebration when he became a then QC. So there we are. And, of course, here he is, in my view, slandering millions and millions of ordinary, hard-working, patriotic Brits who are sick and tired of illegal immigration.
The claim that international law is fine as far as it goes, but can be put aside when conditions change, is a claim that was made in the early 1930s by realist jurists in Germany, most notably Carl Schmitt.
Great stuff. So wanting to deport rapists, murderers and paedophiles, in my view, doesn't make you a Nazi. The ECHR has blocked us deporting terrorists, and despite what Nigel Nelson might say, an Albanian drug lord whose son didn't like foreign chicken nuggets. Now, who else is Sir Keir Starmer's great friend? Because we're building a picture here, aren't we, about the chap who's in charge. Oh, there he is, looming behind me. It's Philippe Sands, KC, the man who represented Mauritius over Chagos. Do we like him? No, we don't. And he then boasted about humiliating Britain.
When you've been to an international court against your own country, won and humiliated them completely, they still celebrate you.
Anyway, they are Sir Keir Starmer's people, aren't they? They're his tribe. They think they're so smart and they tell each other how clever they are every time they go to a dinner party together. I personally think they're a bit thick, because most people in Britain, in the real world, despise those kind of people, which is why this happened yesterday.
I think one of the problems is that Nigel Farage can approximate talking like a human being, where you just resort to talking points and dodging questions.
The speed of the decline in your popularity is historically unprecedented. Isn't this speech today an admission that you have failed and Nigel Farage understands voters better than you?
OK, so today, Lord Hermer has said that he regrets his clumsy choice of words in a pre-prepared written speech that he wrote himself and said it was a clumsy choice of words. Anyway, and Sir Keir Starmer has backed him. So the Prime Minister has backed a bloke who appeared to compare the Tories and Reform to the Nazis. You know who that's really great for?
The reason I'm speaking out today in relation to Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage. Farage. Nigel 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 Farage.
It's Nigel Farage. So, if Sir Keir Starmer carries on like this, him and his international human rights lawyer mates are about to get the kind of spanking you normally have to pay for in Soho. Let's get the views of my wonderful panel and, of course, my live studio audience. Has anyone got the microphone on this, or are we not? No, not today. OK, fine. Let's go straight in with Miriam on this. Look, do you think that if our Attorney-General thinks that people who want to leave the ECHR are basically Nazis, he should probably go?
Well, I mean, that is a matter for Keir Starmer, but it is an extraordinary thing to say, not only politically stupid, but also completely wrong. I mean, the idea that the law can't change is ridiculous. When the ECHR was signed in the early 1950s, our law was completely different. I mean, we had the death penalty. We had no Digital Communications Act because there were no digital communications. Of course, the law can change. But also this kind of idea that coming out of the ECHR would be against Churchill's legacy is totally wrong. And tomorrow morning, on Saturday Morning Live at 10 a.m, make sure you tune in. We've got a new report coming out by Policy Exchange. We've got the author on the show who's going to prove that Churchill was actually very ambiguous about the ECHR and even considered leaving it
so
in the 50s.
that thing that we're now told that we can't leave because if we did, we'd either A, be Nazis or B, be in some way, like, digging up Churchill just to spit on him. Actually, it turns out... Churchill didn't really care about it.
He was nervous about it. He didn't sign up to the judgments of the court, and he didn't want to include anything to do with asylum seekers in the ECHR.
Well,
so it's not the lawyers loving that they think
OK. Right, look, just feel for the room. Who here would leave the ECHR? Yeah. Would anyone stay in the ECHR? Because there are cases for it. No. So is there anyone who just doesn't care about the ECHR? Good for you. Right, and can I just say, what a wonderful world that must be. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. No, but Christys, what do you think about this idea now that, you know, Lord Hermer and all that, think that it's a bit far right?
I'm just exhausted with everything that happens to be far right today. I mean, like, it's so reductive. Like, why can't we just have a conversation nowadays about whether you like the ECHR, whether you don't like the ECHR, without someone being a Nazi or far right? It's constant that someone is a Nazi or far right. I also find it quite ironic when it comes to Lord Hermer and we're talking about the Nazis, because did anyone watch A Lower Low?
Yeah.
Do you remember Herr Flick of the Gestapo? Well, if we look at Lord Hermer and Herr Flick, they look a little bit similar.
OK, well, it's slightly tenuous link. I mean, I imagine at this stage that Lord Hermer would deny being her flick.
No, but they look alike. They look alike.
Yeah, OK, why not? Now, there is actually a bit of a theme running through some members of the Labour Party when it comes to just calling everyone a Nazi, right? So here is everybody's favourite Foreign Secretary. It's David Lammy. And David Lammy had this to say in 2019.
By implication, you're comparing the ERG to the Nazi Party, or at least to the South African racists. Now, whatever you think about the ERG, that was an unacceptable comparison, wasn't it?
Andrew, I would say that wasn't strong enough. In 1938, there were allies who hatched a plan for Hitler to annex part of Czechoslovakia, and Churchill said no, and he stood alone.
He did.
We must not appease.
Mastermind there, obviously. But just in reference to what Christys said, which initially, I'll be honest with you, I was quite uncomfortable about, I believe we have a picture, right?
Yeah. Don't you think they look alike? Don't you think that they look like Lord Hermer and Herr Flick of the Gestapo in a lower low?
I'm not sure.
I think that is uncanny.
I'm not sure. I think if you squint, it is in a certain light, maybe. But
I must commend your graphics department for throwing that together in the last few seconds.
Oh, it's amazing. Where did they get that from? Right, OK. Matthew, do you think that Keir Starmer's in big trouble here? He's got an Attorney General who's let the cat out of the bag, that he really does kind of think that people who want to essentially control borders by leaving the ECHR are far right.
No, I think Keir Starmer's probably quite jealous of Lord Hermer. I think Lord Hermer is, you know, of the same ilk of Keir Starmer, and he can say the things Keir Starmer can't, in a way. He's sort of espousing the stuff that I think Keir Starmer probably secretly believes.
It's not a problem for us, sorry, but this is a key point, because Keir Starmer is now trying to do everything that he possibly can to say that he wants tighter borders, that, you know, he can do all of that stuff. But actually, what most people, I think, suspect is that really, at heart, he is a bleeding-heart, liberal, metropolitan-lovey, international human rights lawyer. Yeah. And you appear to be saying that he is that, and he's just trying to hide it from us.
Well, yeah, he's never been a good actor, has he? Let's have that. You know, they're stealing the facts. I think he sees him as useful because Hermer has also said he would like to revisit parts of the ECHR, ironically, not to dismantle it, but when you're looking at Article 8 and the family rule that Yvette Cooper has spoken about, he's useful for Keir Starmer to talk about, so he can keep his sort of lefty credentials for his London constituency, and Lord Hermer can do the stuff that he would rather not talk about.
Is that a problem for us, Nigel, that you've got... You know, so Lord Hermer's come out and he's apologised, so, you know, it was a clumsy turn of phrase. Well, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Firstly, I don't really want an Attorney-General that occasionally uses clumsy turns of phrase. You know, the guy's supposed to be, a top-tier barrister and QC. He's also, from what I can gather, a speech that he's carefully written himself, so I don't think the word clumsy should come into it. If he thinks that people who want to leave the ECHR are basically far-right fascists, that's a problem, isn't it, for the country?
Well, if he says it again, I think he will have to go. But he probably won't. No politician should ever invoke Hitler or the Nazis to make a political point. They always come a cropper when they do. There's a whole legion of them. Just keep away from the subject. So he should not have made that comparison. He's right, we shouldn't leave the ECHR. He's right, it should be reformed, especially, as Matthew said, Article 8. But he should have made that point in a completely different way.
But there is an interesting aspect of what he said, which is that when the ECHR was formed, the point of it was to stop the kind of atrocities of state authoritarianism, not just Nazi, but communist as well, that were going on and had been going on in the 1940s. That was the good purpose of the ECHR. But what it wasn't supposed to do was allow citizens or non-citizens to sue governments for obscure human rights claims, like the chicken nugget case. That was absolutely not the principle of the ECHR.
Keir Starmer and a lot of people in Labour have, fairly or unfairly, and I think mostly fairly, been accused of being very unpatriotic and usually being on the side of Britain's enemies, OK? Keir Starmer tried to rectify that by slapping a Union Jack behind him every single opportunity. But look at who his friends are. Lord Hermer's the Attorney-General, and he has been more than willing to represent some absolutely abhorrent people, you know, some people, for example, one of the masterminds of the 9/11 terrorist atrocity, he was happy to represent that individual there. I find that slightly odd. Also, you look at Philippe Sands. He's another friend of Keir Starmer. You know, has been instrumental in giving away British sovereign territory and then gloating about it. And, well, does this not tell you who is running our country? This kind of person.
And every now and then they show themselves, don't they? Every now and then. You know, remember, this reminds me of remember, it was Lucy Powell who made the grooming gang. It's like when their guard's down, every now and then they actually reveal, don't they, who they really are. And, you know, this Lord Hermer is doing exactly the same thing. It just, when the guard is down, we see who they really are. And then they desperately try and cover it up afterwards by saying that they misspoke.
Well, I want to hear from someone about why they want to leave the ECHR. So I'm going to play a clip in a second. I would really like someone to put that up. Otherwise, I'm going to pick you at random, shove a microphone in, not quite, but there we go. But someone, seriously, come on. So I'm going to play this now. This is Nature Minister. I didn't realise we had a Nature Minister. We've got a Nature Minister. Yeah. She's called Mary Krieg. Cray. And she spoke earlier about Sir Keir Starmer backing Lord Hermer.
The Attorney General totally rejects the characterisation of his remarks by the Conservative Party. He has, however, reflected on his remarks and apologised for any offence that he may have unintentionally caused.
Does the UK government share his view?
He's a member of the UK government, so yes, we share his view.
Now, what do you make of this? I mean, the defence... Surely Keir Starmer will be better served just getting rid of this Attorney General. You know, why is he backing this guy?
Well, I mean, the guy isn't a politician, as everyone's pointed out. He shouldn't have said what he did, and that's what I mean. If he says it again, then I think he would have to go. But this time round, I think you give him a free pass.
I don't know. If I was to make sense of his broader point, God forbid I stick up for this loathsome man, but if I try and make sense of how these people think, his quote was the claim that international law is fine as far as it goes, but can be put aside when conditions change. I think his broader point is that we should always uphold high international standards, and the fact that we can have a go at the Chinese about the Uyghurs is because we don't do that sort of stuff, and therefore we should all hold each country accountable by our own standards. Whether he means that, I don't know.
Does anyone really believe that Sir Keir Starmer wants to bring down immigration?
No. Yeah, I think he does.
Or make it tougher for people who are here.
He's got to.
Of course he does. Otherwise, he'll absolutely catastrophically lose the next election. Whether or not he agrees in principle that immigration it should be lower, that's beside the point. He knows that politically, unless he can be shown to have made progress on this, the Labour Party is toast. So of course he wants to.
But have you got a point on the ECHR? Yeah. Do you want to make a quick point on the ECHR? What do you think about it?
Maybe he should go.
What, you think Lord Hermer should go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If he said it twice, then
I think it's quite useful.
Nazi. Oh, we've got a Nazi in the audience, everyone.
But can I just ask, how do people in this room feel as though at times you've been demonised if you've had views about things like cutting immigration or, I don't know, if anyone voted for Brexit or whatever, if you felt demonised? Yeah, you felt a bit, right. Can I ask, would you be willing to, can I give you the microphone, sir, on the front row here? Is that OK? Is that all right? No, just ask, what have you felt at times, like, because of your views on things like whatever it is, or citing immigration, that you might have felt, you know, you've been ostracised or demonised as a result of that?
Yeah, I would say I have. You know, I felt, you know, I can't reveal my views, like at work or even like in social groups I go to. You know, I have to be very careful what I say, and I have to sit there quietly and like everyone else talking about that, and I can't reveal my views because I feel I'm going to be ostracised by it. So I would agree, yes. It has been very difficult, yeah.
But that's a real shame, isn't it? Because, you know, I mean, having known you for a very brief period of time, I've got absolutely no doubt whatsoever that you're a perfectly nice chap, right? And the idea that you would face any kind of... to have to silence yourself to appease people like Lord Hermer or Keir Starmer, I find ridiculous.
And it's the silencing of debate, and that is what we're facing at the moment. If you are worried about infrastructure when it comes to the number of people that come into the country, oh, you hate immigrants. No, you don't hate immigrants. You hate immigration policy, and you hate what's got us to this point. And it's just that constant sort of 0 to 100 in order, basically, to shut you up. Yeah. That's what it is.
I think there are people there who, and I can understand this, you know, look, in my line of work, we talk about these things all the time. I've got a platform. If someone really was to go out and really slag me off, I've got a situation where I can come on national television and maybe give it back or defend myself. But for a lot of people, they don't have that. You might work in accounts in an office somewhere or do whatever. And if someone calls you a Nazi in your office, that's quite a big deal, right? That can really, really shut you up. And I'm sick of it. I don't think it works anymore either. I think we're over-Nazied.
Probably.
We've been over-Nazied.
Do you know, shamefully, I did that once in a workplace. Not about somebody's politics. A certain restaurant group used to have a policy that you could have no facial hair if you worked in the kitchen, and they would give you this £1 shape, like razor, horrible, used to rip you to bits. Every shift I had to do it. I said, do you know who else wanted everyone else to be the same? And the boss did not appreciate what's I'm surprised I kept the job.
Well,
so sometimes maybe it is needed.
Yeah, maybe, but there we go. Well, a spokesman for the Attorney General, Lord Herman.
I thought you were going to get my boss on.
No. One day I want to do something like this. Get someone's mum on or something. But anyway, told GBNews he rejects the characterisation of his speech by the Conservatives. He acknowledges that his choice of words was clumsy and regrets having used this reference. Right, OK. Well, I've got a lot more coming your way, including a big exclusive, actually, about a prisoner that was allowed out early. I was going to say you won't believe what's happened, but I think you will. Anyway, it's the final week that you can win our Great British giveaway. It's a brand new motorhome worth £67,000, £5,000 in cold, hard, tax-free cash. Here's how you could be in it to win it.
It's the final week to see how you could be our biggest winner yet.
Driving away in this Elnag Baron 560 motorhome, courtesy of Marquis Leisure. It has plenty of room for your family of four. Comes complete with kitchen, bathroom and all the space you'll need for life on the road. And the best news? You can drive it on your existing driving licence. Plus, we'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. Don't delay. You can't win if you're not in the draw. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entry starts at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB13 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 6th of June. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
This motorhome and £5,000 in cash really could be yours. Good luck.
Does every single person here, whenever you get on public transport, do you always pay the fare? Yeah. Right. Do you... No. God, yes. I love it. We've had someone who's admitted smoking cannabis or someone who doesn't pay the fares. Oh, it's good. It's a broad church here. Anyway, up next.
Excuse me, do you think it's all right not to pay? Seriously, why do you go back through the barrier and pay? Do you want to go back and pay like everybody else? Do you think it's all right not to pay? Why don't you go back and pay?
Right, Robert Jenrick has been taking on London's fare dodgers. You want to watch out. It'll be after you. Anyway, but why is Britain becoming lawless? Stay tuned. All right.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain's Newsroom, weekday mornings from 9:30.
John, you are an extraordinary man. You are 100 years and 6 months.
Correct, yeah.
How do you do it? You look fantastic.
Just not overdoing it with living and that. No, not going out and getting drunk and all that. Just, what can I say? Just lived a normal life.
Yeah. Now, you joined the Navy in 1943. You were a very young man.
Yeah. I was just turned 18.
How nervous were you? Were you very nervous?
No, I wanted to go.
To fight for king and country?
Yeah.
And, of course, one day, your own ship was hit by a flying bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently what happened there on the second day of landings at Anzio, and this was on the evening, because what we used to have to do was what they called dusk and dawn action stations, which is the worst time for visibility. And this particular night, 23rd of January, I'll never forget it. We never even heard them. That must have been that high up. And they had either glider bombs or torpedoes on. So whether it was a bomb or a torpedo that hit us, but all I was on the stern of the ship, what they called the X-gun. And when I looked round, there was a terrific bang. And when I looked round, the front half of the ship was gone.
Gosh.
GBNews, the People's Channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to my wonderful live studio audience show. Thank you very much for everyone who's gone to so much effort coming from far and wide to be here in the studio. Now, we, of course, are going to be talking about Robert Jenrick, the Shadow Justice Minister, was out and about in East London the other day, channeling his inner Peter Parker, or Batman, I suppose. Let's have a look at this.
Excuse me, do you think it's all right not to pay? Seriously, why do you go back through the barrier and pay? Do you want to go back and pay like everybody else? Do you think it's all right not to pay? Why don't you go back and pay? You can say off as much as you want. But everyone else has to pay. You're carrying a knife, you say? Nearly 1 in 25 people using London's public transport aren't paying for it. So there's 8 officers down there, but 1 minute away, that gate's wide open. It's also just annoying watching so many people break the law and get away with it.
Yes, it is really annoying, actually, but I'm sure that most people were applauding that. However, you do have to ask, though, don't you? I mean, what was going on with the staff there? Tina has got a view on this. Go on, what would you like to say?
Hello, good evening, all.
Good evening.
I'd just like to say we have a lawless Britain in terms of phones being stolen, shoplifting, knife crime. There's no deterrent. No one seems to really care. They're letting prisoners out early. And I think, to be quite honest with you, if Sadiq Khan focused instead of legalising cannabis and more sort of focusing on knife crime on the streets, perhaps a bit more would be done. But there doesn't seem to be any deterrent. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, well, actually, I tell you what, before you sit down, what would you... So if someone jumps the barriers, what do you think the punishment should be?
Well, I think I pay every day to go into London to work. So why shouldn't everyone else?
Yeah. So probably fine them or something, I suppose.
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
OK, OK, great point. Thank you very much, Tina. If we wouldn't mind getting the microphone towards the lady in yellow over there, if that's all right. OK, so, Christo, I'll start with you on this. What do you make of the fare dodgers?
Absolutely drives me mad. So where I live, literally people just either walk through the, the luggage barrier, or they do sort of a pole vault over, which I wouldn't try because I think I would do myself a mischief. But it drives me absolutely mad because, you are absolutely right, madam. It's because of the fact that we are all touching in and out. We're paying exorbitant fares, and the staff just sort of looking around, doing their nails. Why are they there? Yeah. What is the point? And it is just part of this wider issue that we've got with society at the moment, in as much as, Sadiq Khan is more concerned with the cycle lane than he is about actually solving knife crime. Let's get that out the way first. But secondly, rather than solving shoplifting, we're putting stuff behind glass. Rather than solving terrorism, we're putting up bollards everywhere. Rather than solving any of this, people not paying their fares, we're kind of just saying to the staff, oh, don't worry, we don't want you to get yourself hurt or anything. So we're just not solving problems anymore. We've given up. It's anarchy. We may as well just all go home.
One of our presenters, Tom Harwood, he tweeted something yesterday, which is a picture. He went to buy a steak for like £5, and that steak was encased in a Perspex plastic box with a GPS tracker on it.
Yeah.
For people here, what have we become, honestly? It's ridiculous, isn't it? Matthew, your views on this? Because for me, people go, oh, it's only a train fare. It's symptomatic of lawlessness, and it just feels like in Britain at the moment, people who abide by the law and do everything right and pay tax are mugs, because no one else is doing it.
Yeah, it's annoying. I've seen people do it, and you just think... I won't say what I think, actually, even if it is past the watershed. But I think that with regards to the deterrence, it's an interesting point, actually, because with regards to shoplifting's gone through the roof. I think part of that is the self-service checkouts, where people, they call it sort of middle-class crime, because people are going, actually, I can just put that in my bag. And they might not be people that used to do that sort of thing. Also, I think it was the last government that increased the shoplifting rate, so it had to be over £200 for it to be prosecuted as a crime. Well, that's a lot of steak Tom could get, but that's beside the point. So I think we need to bring a deterrence back and have people worried that they will be prosecuted if they're doing things like that.
OK. Before we go to my next two panellists, there is a lady... Yellow. Now, before the break, I said, does anyone dodge fares? And there was one brave person who said yes. But I think you should be given the opportunity to provide a bit more context to that, because you are not, in fact, a rampant criminal. Go on.
No, hello, good evening. So I live in the beautiful town of Croydon, where we have the trams. Sometimes the machines don't work, and I might slip onto the tram, because the inspectors, you don't know if they're going to come or not. But I do sit there literally shaking just in case they do come on, because you do get a fine. But obviously, if you're going into London, everybody should pay their train fare. I pay £15 every single day to go and study, and it's not fair. And it's what keeps it clean, the stations clean, and whatever.
Pay £15 a day just to get into study. Yeah. It's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. And then to see people not paying, it must wind you up a bit.
Yeah, it does. But you got to think the barriers. Whoever's crossing the barriers, they might not be same-minded. So you don't want the inspectors to, question somebody about a £3.50 fine. So it's
that's the point. I'm just going to sit with sorry about this. You're going to take over the show here. But on this, because that's the thing, we go, why does no one do anything? Why does no one do anything? And it infuriates me. But then at the same time, do you really want to get stabbed over stopping someone skipping a barrier? You know what I mean?
This is the thing.
Hold on, let me just finish. Yeah. You can go. I used to work in Sainsbury's. No, listen. Sorry, no, just say no, it's fine. I used to work in Sainsbury's, okay, and it was a mufti day, so I wore this Superwoman outfit. And as I came out of the doors to take up my shift, this man was literally stealing a whole box of Haribo. So I had literally pretended to chase him because obviously I had the thing on, but am I actually going to approach somebody of stealing a box of Haribo and maybe get stabbed, or do you know what I mean? So, and there is insurance. That's why these big companies have insurance for things like this.
Okay. So you chased a shoplifter in a Superwoman outfit?
Yeah, I loved it. They got it on CCTV camera and everything. It was crazy.
Well, I think we are good. Should staff, whether it's train stations or whether it's shops or whatever, should they be doing more to clamp down on shoplifting or fare dodging or whatever?
Well, yes, absolutely, but they do need backup, and Matthew's absolutely right. Even in some of the major supermarket stores now, the company policy is to tell the staff not to challenge shoplifters, and if they do, they will lose their jobs because of all the insurance and liabilities. But I think what's really interesting about the generic video, which was absolutely superb, is it really shows that this is not just about policing. Of course, police are important, but actually it used to be the case that if you stepped out of line in public, you could expect the other members of the public to put you to shame, to call you out, to make it unacceptable. That no longer happens, and I totally accept the point that it could be dangerous, but nevertheless, if more people stepped up like this, we would see those crimes go down.
Sorry, we're going to have to be very quick here, Nigel, I'm afraid, but I'll come to you first on the next one. What do you think of that generic video? Is it good?
No, I think that the Shadow Justice Secretary should spend his time on criminal justice policy and not trying to be Charles Bronson and a vigilante.
Right, OK, well, there we are. So, we've got loads to go. Oh, yes, it's a GBNews exclusive for you. There's a bit of this. Crisis in our prisons. After the break, we'll be covering a serial offender who has been taking the mickey out of the prison system. In fact, he's the guy who said big up Keir Starmer before he drove off in a Rolls-Royce. So there we go.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun. Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Blistering heat in parts of Spain. Temperatures could top out over the next few days in southern Spain over 40 Celsius. That heat building and providing some thundery showers in Iberia and southern France into the weekend. A few showers also likely over the Greek islands and Turkey on Saturday. Plenty of warm, sunny weather for Italy and Croatia. Sunny skies too for Spain and Portugal as the heat builds here. And lots of fine weather across the Canaries, where temperatures will continue to rise into next week. And we could get close to 30 degrees in Rome.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture. Plenty of showers across northern and western parts and some gusty winds, but fine weather for much of East Anglia and southeast England. Will be turning fresher for all of us behind this cold front, but it's still way out in the Atlantic at this stage. Ahead of it today, we've seen 1 or 2 heavy showers, particularly over northeast Scotland, but they're now fading away. And for many, it's a fine evening out there, staying dry for many overnight, turning quite misty and murky around the coasts of South Wales and southwest England, with a few showers creeping into West Wales and western Scotland later on. Pretty mild, it's pretty humid, temperatures holding up in the teens for many in towns and cities. On to Saturday, and as I said, a mixed picture. Much of eastern England starting fine and dry, but we will see some showers coming into Scotland. Generally here a dry start to the day, and it will be quite a mild start as well. But the rain is gathering, and that will be pushing its way into the west of Northern Ireland fairly smartly through the morning. We'll see some showery rain also arriving in West Wales, and as I said, quite murky around the coasts of Wales and southwest England. But warm and humid across these eastern parts of England. Hazy sunshine here lasting for most of the day. A few showers moving north across maybe the Lake District into southern Scotland, and then this band of wet weather will move across Northern Ireland around the middle part of the day and turn things quite wet and quite windy in western Scotland. Some heavy downpours, even the odd rumble of thunder, and some showers ahead of it too across parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. A warm, humid feel for many. We could get temperatures into the mid-20s across eastern areas, but Sunday's much fresher. Cooler, less humid air moving in. Again, much of the south and east dry and bright with sunny spells. Showers further north and west with lots of showers coming into western Scotland. And look at those temperatures. We could get to 26, 27 tomorrow by Sunday, highs in the low 20s, and for many, mid to high teens.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Dubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. I know I say it every week, but I do really think that it's my favourite studio audience so far. Can we get a round of applause to the people from Manchester? We've got Plymouth. We've got Plymouth, haven't we? There he is. Good lad. Have we got Portsmouth somewhere as well? Portsmouth. We've got North Yorkshire. Absolutely fantastic. Right, thank you very much. So, this is a bit embarrassing, isn't it? Daniel Dowling-Brooks, who is the man who mocked Labour's early release scheme last year, he's at it again. So he's the one who said, big up Keir Starmer when he let him out of prison, and then he rolled himself off in a supercar. Anyway, he's back in prison, by the way, shock. So, anyway, he's been posting videos of himself playing video games, listening to music in his cell. Now, according to Brooks, he is, quote, still chasing his dreams. Inspiring jarring stuff, isn't it? In all seriousness, though, is it any wonder that our streets are becoming more and more dangerous when this is our approach to punishing criminals? Well, I mean, look, basically, this guy razzed it out of prison in a high roller car, and then he's back in, and now he's using an illegal phone in prison to pump things out there. There's a chap on the front row here who would like to make a point about this. Sir, the floor is yours.
Yeah, my wife got injured by an idiot, how you ever want to call it. She got thrown over, got a judo thrown over, her lung collapsed. She got resuscitated twice. And I can't understand why Mr. Starmer wants to just let people come out of prison, just give them the opportunity to just to relive their lives and get on with everything, when you've got people with silly little tweets, same old thing, that are getting stupid things. And this fella got 10 months in prison and served, I do believe, 3, and that was it, for attacking a police officer, which I find really, really strange.
OK, so the context is, wife's a police officer, attacked on duty?
Yep, on duty.
Attacked on duty, lung collapses, had to be resuscitated twice.
Yep, had a tube stuck in her side to re-inflate the lung and everything else and drain stuff off of it. Ended up getting a blood clot on her lung as well. As now classed as disabled by a certain percentage. How they work it out, I don't know. But this fella is just allowed to come out and do what he wants. And I just find it really, really strange that they let these people out, and yet other people can do silly little things and say the wrong word and get a bigger, massive sentence, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, firstly, I hope your wife's all right. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that. And yeah, I mean, it's infuriating, isn't it, to hear that someone that does that gets 3 months there. Yeah, I mean, Miriam, your views on what that gentleman said, but also the fact that, you know, you've got a guy there, early release scheme, big up Keir Starmer, razzes it off in a roller or whatever it was, he's back in prison on his phone.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely shocking, and I think the police searched his cell once, found a phone, then he started posting on Instagram again. They searched his cell again, found another phone. So it's a whole network of crime going on in prisons themselves, isn't it? Feeding people with drugs and phones and everything else. I mean, where do you start? I think one of the big problems is that we don't lock people up for a first offence. And in the last 10 years, there have been over 315,000 cases where someone has committed over 25 offences and still not been locked up. And I think that's the root of the problem. By the time people do get into prison, they're hardened criminals, it's a way of life, they're just going to carry on doing it. If there was an immediate consequence for shoplifting, for a minor affray in the street, if you're immediately banged up for 2 weeks, and that was a record, I think that would be an instant deterrent. But if you can commit 25 or even 50 crimes before any consequence, and then that consequence is not even that severe, why wouldn't you have a life of crime?
Nigel, do you want to come back to... I mean, you know, Keir Starmer's early release scheme was controversial enough at the time. I mean, the amount of people who are now back in prison would suggest that it was a complete disaster.
Yeah, and I think that it wasn't something he wanted to do, but something he had to do. That if prisons are going to be full by November, we have to actually get people out to make room for others. We haven't built enough prisons, quite simply. There is a prison building programme going on. I do agree that sentences of beneath a year should only be given out in exceptional circumstances. That could free up to about 30,000 prison places. And so you have tough community punishment rather than sending people to prison. I don't agree with Miriam, by the way, about send them to jail with the first offence. If people are going to become hardened criminals, they're more likely to become hardened in prison than outside.
For 2 weeks, I think we've got totally the wrong approach. If you think about parenting, parents who don't discipline their children with instant consequences are spoiling them and ruining their lives. And that's what we're doing. It's not kind to not punish somebody when they step out of line. It's kind to them and to society to have instant feedback. That's what the stocks used to be for in the old days.
It's true.
It's true. A little bit of shame.
Punishment is what I'm talking about. Then not necessarily is prison the best bet for these people.
It doesn't matter. There has to be an instant punishment. And if you know that it's a year before your case will even even come to court, and then you'll get let off with a caution. What's the deterrent? There isn't one. There needs to be an instant deterrent, instant feedback, like with parenting. We all have the same human nature. That would sort out an awful lot of these petty crimes that become serious criminality.
Christys and Matthew.
I'm just going to say I completely agree with you, because there are lots of young people that don't get an immediate consequence. And I'm friends with a couple of people in the criminal justice system who really believe that if you have a short, sharp shock when they've done a first or second offence, it actually stops them then going on to offend. Now, to your point about when they go to prison and they become worse offenders, well, again, that speaks to what prison is like. And prison should be a place where you actually have a punishment, but also you could learn something constructive. This guy shouldn't have access to a phone. This guy should actually be given something more constructive to do in prison.
Yeah, it's said. Also, by the way, we did show, well, I'm not sure if we showed it, I couldn't quite tell there, but as recently as yesterday, this individual posted a picture of himself smoking a joint in prison. There you go.
Oh, Sadiq Khan would be thrilled.
I think that's it, isn't it? I don't know if that's it. But yeah, anyway, he's basically... So he's in prison with a phone and drugs, right? Great stuff. And he's obviously not... He's still, by the way, quotes, chasing his dreams. So, I mean, if his dreams are a prison cell and drugs, then he's won, hasn't he? I think I was there to say. Just to get a feel for the room. Miriam said something quite interesting there about, you know, how we used to have the stocks and things. Would anyone in this country be quite keen to actually bring back things like the stocks?
Yeah.
Right, I thought you would. I know. Just, nowhere outside the GBNews studio does anyone think we should throw rotten veg at people, but here we do.
Shame is one of the best motivators for good behaviour, isn't it?
Go on, Matthew. What do you think about this?
It's not a surprise. I've got several friends in prison, unfortunately, due to friends I made. Yep. And one of them, on his first day after his induction, was shown by another cellmate a knife and a mobile phone.
In prison?
Yeah, knife that big. And this is not me exaggerating. This is what he told me when I went and visited him. And they said immediately, "Which one do you want?" And he said, no, I'm not getting involved. He says, it's £1.50 for a phone, £3 for the knife. He said, no, I'm not interested. He said, you'll need it in here.
Flipping.
He said, someone is going to die in our prisons if we allow them to carry on as we are. Charlie Taylor, the Inspectorate of Prisons, said at the Select Committee when I was sat in on it last month, in some prisons today now, 50% of those drugs tested are coming up positive.
I believe that.
Drugs are totally running rife. And also, the other problem is, the guards, as much as I think they do a great job, are allowing the prisoners to run it themselves. My friend also said they all get punished, so they got this, sort of junkie type to jump on the net for a bit of a laugh. So the prison officer said, right, all back in your cells. And they said, well, we've not done anything. Doesn't matter, you could have had a word with him. So you're all collectively punished. So the idea, this gentleman is, whatever. But are you going to come out and want to be rehabilitated if you're spending 23 hours a day in prison? It's not going to happen.
Not really.
They're totally broken, the prisons in this.
No, it's interesting insight, absolutely. Well, the reason why I'm just rattling through this is because for many people this is their favourite part of the show. Greatest Britain, Union Jackass. My audience will decide who this week's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass are. That's when we come back. Thank you.
Nigel is back.
Good evening.
Unfiltered.
Are these proposals bold enough?
Uncompromising.
Will it bring growth?
Unmissable.
We as a country are brilliant.
Nigel Farage returns this Tuesday from 7 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Well, we're talking about holidays now and how not to pay too much for them. Because I think the thing is, a lot of people are saying, oh, we're going to go on holidays, and then they look and they say, really, can we afford it?
Yeah.
And if people pushed the boat out last year, they may be finding that this year they just can't do it because it definitely is more expensive. Hayley Sparks joins us in the studio now to tell us the tricks of the trade. And you feel, Hayley, that all is not lost. You think if you shop around, you apply a few tricks, you can do OK for yourself?
Yeah, I definitely love to share some of my tips with the viewers because everybody deserves a holiday, but with the cost of living, we want to kind of see where we can save money. So one of my biggest tips would be to use a travel consultant. They work for you for free, so there's no cost to the consumer. But what I didn't realise till I joined the travel industry is about 60% of the world's holidays are trade only, so you wouldn't find them online. So if you work with a professional, they can help do all the research for you. So some of the hotspots at the moment, Poland, for example, is one of the most affordable European destinations. Other really up-and-coming destinations, you've got places like Albania, Bulgaria, great alternatives to Greece. You've only got to have a look online at the stunning coastlines. And another top tip to consider is a cruise. Now, people often think, wow, cruises, you think luxury, you think, you know, sort of bucket list, but that is not the case. The cruise market is so extensive. So there's great budget entry-level cruise lines, which are fantastic for families. You know what you're paying for. There's no hidden charges. And different brands like MSC, for example, they'll do single-parent discounts.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Headliners on GB News, 11 p.m. every night. It's got 3 top comedians going through the next day's newspapers so you don't have to read them, which is great.
That's a good point. He's lying. Maybe he's not lying.
That's Headliners every night from 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. as well on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. The final but also best bit of the show, I think, it's time to reveal this week's Union Jackass and Greatest Britain. I need the audience to participate in this. So, let's start with you, Miriam, your Union Jackass.
My Union Jackass is President Macron's PR team. Right. So after that unfortunate incident where his wife shoved him in the face in full view of the world's press, first of all, his PR team said that this was an AI fake.
Yeah.
Then they said that there was a moment of togetherness, and then they admitted that they were having a little bit of tiff. Now, Macron likes to portray quite a masculine image, but I think that has taken a bit of a dent this week.
Sorry, I'm going to have to push back on that. Macron portrays a masculine image.
He tries to. All these photos of him in the gym and all this kind of strong man stuff. He's trying too hard.
I think we've learned that Brigitte is perhaps a little more masculine this week, haven't we?
And that's all we say about that. Matthew, who's your Union Jackass?
Mine is the Football Association. They, earlier this year, banned FA Cup replays. So smaller clubs like my club, Stockport, wouldn't, if they drew against a Premier League team, wouldn't get that big payday at Premier League ground. This is because players were tired in the Premier League, apparently, yet Manchester United this week went on a pre-season tour, despite the season only finishing last week, to Hong Kong and Asia. It's just a farce, and for me, it shows that money is totally ruining the beauty.
Yeah, and as a Manchester United fan, can I just say what an absolute shocker that tour was? Shocking. Right, go on, who's your Union Jackass, Christoph?
No idea what you two were just talking about in the slightest, by the way. Personally, OK, I'm going to talk... my one is TfL, because we all saw the video of Robert Jenrick, and TfL's reaction to all of those fare evaders was he didn't have permission to film. because that's the problem, right? He didn't have permission to film, so that's
true.
TfL.
They said, oh, well, Robert Jenrick might get arrested now because he didn't have permission to film. That's not the issue, is it? Go on then, Nigel. Who is your Union Jackass?
Mine is an honorary Union Jackass, the actress Sydney Sweeney, who has turned her bathwater into 5,000 bars of soap, which she's making money out of. Which I find really weird, frankly. She says it's for dirty little boys that she's actually advertising it for.
I want you to say that phrase again and me have it as my ringtone. So every time my phone goes off, it's just you saying "dirty little boys."
Is that why you asked for my bathwater, Patrick? Is that what you were asking for?
Not quite. Anyway, right, OK, so Union Jackass, I want the audience to decide, is it Emmanuel Macron's PR team? No, mooted response. No, OK. Is it the Football Association? Right, OK. Oh, we're off to a flyer here. Right, is it TfL? Completely unprompted. Is it Sydney Sweeney and a dodgy bathwater? No, it's TfL. There we go. TfL.
What a surprise.
OK, all right. Well, now we're going to go to Greatest Please, Miriam, I'll start with you. Who's your greatest Briton?
I'm going to go for Robert Jenrick, because I think it was a great video and it was a great example of, stepping up and taking action against some of these problems.
Standing up and being threatened with a knife at one point as well. Matthew, your greatest Briton?
The British, this is the inner geek in me coming out, the British archaeologists who this week found an original copy of the Magna Carta at Harvard University dating back to 1300. I love our history, I love anything like that. And actually the worst bit is, typical of this country, selling the family silver. They actually sold it to Harvard University in the 30s or 40s for $26 because they thought it was a copy. They've since realised it isn't. Maybe actually we should be Union Jack.
It's like Gordon Brown and the gold all over again, isn't it? Christo, who's your greatest Briton, please?
OK, I'm going to go for the comedian Andrew Lawrence, right?
That's a bold choice.
Now, I'll tell you why. He made this absolutely horrific joke, and I don't approve of the joke, about Liverpool saying if he was there, he would drive through crowds, all this stuff. Awful joke that he made. But then he had loads of gigs cancelled, and what he's done is doubled down and actually said that those people who are offended are hypocrites, they're all professional victims, and I kind of admire, although the joke was disgusting, I defend his right to make it, I defend his right to offend people, and the fact that he's not given an apology, he's doubled down.
It's a bold choice. Nigel, who's your greatest Briton, please?
It's another honorary greatest Brit. This one's Taylor Swift, who's just won her 20-year battle to own her own music.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's really good for her and a great inspiration to all musicians being ripped off everywhere.
Are you a Swiftie?
I wouldn't describe myself quite like that.
I feel like we're learning a lot about Nigel tonight, he used to enjoy the odd toke, and now he's listening to Taylor Swift. I think, who are you? Who are you? I'm going to introduce another one into the mix. It is my very own choice for greatest Briton, and it is Sarah, whose birthday it is today. Sarah, we actually is somebody that we're going to get you a little something, so we would like to wish you a very happy birthday, and something around there. There you go. So, Sarah, happy birthday from everyone at GB News, and of course you're not allowed to light candles in the studio, so you can't possibly do that. I'm thinking if I might... There we go. So it's a good job that we don't tell everyone, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Sarah. Happy birthday to you. Right, now blow them out before I get sacked, Sarah. OK? Blow them out. There you go. Happy birthday. Who are we going for greatest Briton? We have got Robert Jenrick. Right. We've got British archaeologists with the Magna Carta.
British history, come on!
I don't know what's going on here. We've got Andrew Lawrence.
Free speech, people. Free speech.
OK, yeah, could have. And then we've got Taylor Swift. No, or we've got Sarah. I think Sarah's right. You are today's greatest Briton, Sarah. Thank you very, very much. Well, we are now at the end of the show. I would like to thank all of my wonderful panel. It's been a rip-roaring show. I would also like to thank the Bulgarian gypsy that doused me in water earlier today, of course. That was a nice touch, and I hadn't had a shower yet, so thank you very much. And I do wish you well in your glittering career, no doubt, going forward. And I would like to thank every single one of you who's made the effort to come here tonight. Some familiar faces and some new people as well. People from Manchester, Plymouth, Portsmouth, everywhere. Thank you so, so much. And if you have not been here yet, why on earth have you not? This really is the best way to kickstart your Friday evening. So, thank you very much, everybody, and I will see you again at 9 p.m. on Monday, of course, if I've still got a job. So, take it easy, everybody. All right.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Evening. Welcome to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. The weekend promises a mixed picture, plenty of showers across northern and western parts and some gusty winds, but fine weather for much of East Anglia and southeast England. Will be turning fresher for all of us behind this cold front, but it's still way out in the Atlantic at this stage. Ahead of it today, we've seen one or two heavy showers, particularly over northeast Scotland, but they're now fading away. And for many, it's a fine evening out there, staying dry for many overnight, turning quite misty and murky around the coasts of of South Wales and southwest England, with a few showers creeping into West Wales and western Scotland later on. Pretty mild, it's pretty humid, temperatures holding up in the teens for many in towns and cities. On to Saturday, and as I said, a mixed picture. Much of eastern England starting fine and dry, but we will see some showers coming into Scotland. Generally here a dry start to the day, and it will be quite a mild start as well. But the rain is gathering, and that will be pushing its way into the west of Northern Ireland fairly smartly through the morning. We'll see some showery rain also arriving in West Wales, and as I said, quite murky around the coasts of Wales and southwest England. But warm and humid across these eastern parts of England. Hazy sunshine here lasting for most of the day. A few showers moving north across maybe the Lake District into southern Scotland, and then this band of wet weather will move across Northern Ireland around the middle part of the day and turn things quite wet and quite windy in western Scotland. Some heavy downpours, even the odd rumble of thunder, and some showers ahead of it too across parts of eastern Scotland and northeast England. A warm, humid feel for many. We could get temperatures into the mid-20s across the eastern areas, but Sunday's much fresher. Cooler, less humid air moving in. Again, much of the south and east dry and bright with sunny spells. Showers further north and west, with lots of showers coming into western Scotland. And look at those temperatures. We could get to 26, 27 tomorrow. By Sunday, highs in the low 20s, and for many, mid to high teens.
Even though we'll see a cloudy start, it'll be a bright outlook for the rest of the day. Boxed Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
It's the final week to see how you could be our biggest winner yet, touring in this stylish Elnag Baron 560 motorhome. This brand new 2025 model comes complete with kitchen and bathroom areas and enough space to comfortably sleep a family of 4. We'll also give you a further £5,000 in tax-free cash to add a few of your favourite things. Don't miss out as lines close on the 6th of June. For another chance to win the lot, text WIN